Hey everybody, back again. We're doing video number 3. Sorry, got a little off center there. We're doing video number 3. This one is going to be on the Minefield in hard mode Denova. Like I said in the other videos, this one's mainly for the DPS. I will try to touch on a couple of other little things, but the idea is that this is for the rest of the raid. The raid leader should know what he's supposed to do and all the percentages and all that jazz. As DPS, it doesn't really matter to you. You're just going to do what you're told because you're going to have open ears and listen to what the raid leader tells you. And also you're going to do the things that I mentioned in this video, so the raid leader won't get mad at you. Remember that no matter what the strategy is that I propose in this video, if the raid leader calls for something else, please do that, especially if he calls you out by name. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started on the Minesweeper video. Wow. Alright, so in the Minefield, there are 3 basic things that occur during this stage. Number 1, the big droids that come out. Let me go back a little bit. The person in the tower. I don't know how that works. If you want to know how that works, you can talk to SWTOR, SWTOR, Chaos Star, and I'm willing to bet that Carl and Anakin understand how it works. There are plenty of videos up there that describe that specific part of it. Only one dude is up there, so the rest of y'all who are down on the bottom, that's who I'm talking to right now. Okay, so now down on the bottom, you got things to worry about. The most important thing to worry about is the big droids. In hard mode, Overload does the same thing that a Sorcerer Overload does. It pushes everything away from it in a stomp on the ground type manner. It doesn't actually do a stomp on the ground, but it does wipe the raid, because what happens is it pushes you away and you will land on the red squares. By the way, red is bad. Never go on red squares, ever, 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 for any reason. Alright, so you want to interrupt every overload. We generally have a power tech DPS on that with somebody as his backup. If you have a melee DPS, they can generally spec into a quick cooldown interrupt and get every interrupt. If they accidentally hit a cleave, I recommend that whoever is assigned to do the interrupts say, "Get next." Anyone who hears the words, "Get next," that means get the next overload. If you have an interrupt, and an overload is casting, and you see it near the end of its cast bar, actually it's probably over here, the end of its cast bar, push your damn interrupt button. Don't let the raid wipe because somebody missed it and forgot to say something. If they say something too, please interrupt it in generally this area. You can interrupt it way over here if you want, which is cool. Doesn't matter. But if it gets over here, you need to say something, do something. Alright? Anywho. So, number 2, on the assassin droid, the other thing to worry about. They explode when they touch people. So it is very important that they stay as far away as possible. We will assign 2 to 4 CCers. The way that the assignments go is you are assigned to CC right, and person number 2, you are assigned to CC left. And in addition to left and right being assigned, you're also going to have a backup left and right healer because the assassin droids will spawn just a little bit quicker than the cooldown is ready to re-CC. So, ideally you want to have 4 people assigned to do this. If not, the raid leader will tell you how to handle this. Sometimes you'll CC one of the second group, and there's more than 2 groups, but it works in 2 group cycles. Anyway, so you'll CC one of them because you do have a 3rd CCer but not a 4th, and you'll try to kill the other one that's walking up on you. Tanks, you can walk into them with your face and it won't kill you. You want to make sure that you're at least above 80% health, and you can run into them without worry of getting one-shotted by anything that pops. You don't even need to use a cooldown. If you're full health, it's perfect. So, on to defusing. When you are fighting the main boss, or the big droids, you need to realize that this is the boss of this first part. You need to be using your DPS cooldowns. You need to try to burn this MFer as hard as possible. When it dies, you're going to get this thing above your head. It's a purple wire cutter looking thing. It's pretty damn obvious. And if you don't realize it's above your head, chances are somebody's going to tell you in the raid, hey, you're the guy. Now, even though you're the guy, you have to wait until the square is yellow. The guy in the tower is going to do something for you that's going to make the square yellow. When the square is yellow, you have a certain amount of time, and I don't know how much it is, so just be ready to do what you're supposed to. You run up and defuse the yellow square turning at green. When the square turns green, the whole raid that is down on that part should be moving to the circle dot. I am a healer in that area often. Something to really understand is that his cleave, which doesn't need to be interrupted, his AoE of any kind doesn't hurt very much at all. Don't worry about it. Just stand on the dot. You can stand underneath the boss himself. You don't want to get too far away from the center for two reasons, because I don't know if it's the last person to hit it or the closest one to hit it. But you want to be close to the yellow square when it turns yellow, because the yellow part has a timer and the buff above your head has a timer. So you don't want to be an idiot and be at the wrong side. Additionally, if you keep everybody in a small group, fairly tight in that group, then what happens is that when the assassin droids pop, you can CC them far away from anyone at all. It is muy importante to CC them immediately, as far away as possible. I know I'm talking to you like a child. That is because it is that important. I just want it to sink in. So, once we're done with that part, you're going to take the yellow cutters or the purple cutters and run on the yellow squares and get them all taken care of. And you're going to run all the way up, and then over on the right side, after you get all of them, you push this control panel on the wall. I don't know whether you stab your sword into it or pew it or just push a button. But anyway, it turns off the minefield. And then we bring us to part 2. Bam! Alright, so in part 2, you're going to be coming in from the top like the other videos, right? Alright, so you're going to be coming in from the top. You are going to be moving down to A1 is the first ad you're going to kill, and then A2 is the second ad you're going to kill. You see that thing that kind of looks like a poorly drawn baguette at the bottom? Well, that's where the DPS and healer is allowed to be. Melee DPS, you want to stand behind the boss. I know, novel idea, right? Stand behind the boss. This is the boss you need to stand behind. The main tank will be tanking the boss. I just kind of put MT on the paper. I don't know exactly if that's how you need to face him or not. The off tank is going to be standing behind the boss. Healers. You are going to need to be touch healing that off tank fairly often. The off tank is the guy who was in the tower. He's going to be running up the back. When the turrets spawn, you know how I have 4 of them on there? When the turrets spawn, the off tank is going to be taunting them and keeping aggro on them. The reason that the rest of the raid wants to stay down at the bottom is because they don't want to get hit with those turrets. Also, melee DPS, try to stay closer to the bottom. Do not get in front of the boss ever, but you want to try to be closer to the bottom to make it easy on your healer to be able to get everybody. I think there's also going to be like a reticle that pops on you that's attached to you that you can't really avoid, so stay away from people so you don't hurt them. And then separately, there's also a reticle that hits the ground that you can run out of. So do a little shimmy if you get a reticle, and if it's stuck to you, just get away from people, and if it's not stuck to you, then GTFO. When you beat him, you win. It's not that hard. This part's just a tank and spike as long as everybody stays where they're supposed to and doesn't get everyone blown up. This part you're going to kind of spread out in that little baguette looking area. There's only going to be like 4 or 6 of you, so it's not going to be that hard. Once again, thanks for watching the video. If you could do me a big favor, like and subscribe below. It would do me a lot of good. Also, if you have any questions or comments, that's what the comment section is for. Thanks again, guys, and we'll be seeing you in game.